in your experience in your work, are depression and anxiety like sometimes biological, as in they require some kinds of medications, versus psychological and they don't, and there's more work one can do just on their thoughts and things like that? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's such a good question.
yeah.
More and more, one of the things that we're starting to see is the transgenerational transmission
Mm,
of the way in which we're impacted by life. That if our grandparents, for example, lived through the Holocaust, then our bodies have an increased reactivity to stress,
mm-hmm.
for example. So we're this question of biology becomes more and more expanded, deeper, more complex. And I used to say, try anything, try everything, do it all, do antidepressants, do hypnosis, do the your resonant self material. Make sure if you can, uh, see if there's some way to begin to exercise, yoga, just do it all, do whatever you can, whatever's available to you. Um, uh, and now I'm just thinking about a piece of research that showed that it was just as effective to have a filled prescription for Prozac in your medicine cabinet that you never take as it is to
Mm-hmm.
take the Prozac. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that might be safer because there's more and more coming out now about the problems of withdrawal from both benzodiazepines, which are the major class of anxiety treatment, and from um, this SSRIs, the
Mm-hmm.
serotonin reuptake inhibitors, and um, and so I feel um, more wary than I used to, more worried than I used to about saying try everything. So I'm a little bit now more towards try everything else besides the medications in a very serious way before you try the medications.
Mm-hmm.
Try EMDR, try brain spotting, try yoga, try acupuncture, try, see what happens if you can exercise. Now, when I say try everything before you try the medications, um, I'm really saying try everything that's available to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes when people are really suffering from depression, the exercise option just isn't even remotely possible. And I'm not saying wait until you can do the not remotely possible things before you try your medications. No, I'm saying do what you can, and if you can't do anything else, then try the medications and see how
Mm-hmm.
they work.
Got it.
And then also be gentle with yourself in the withdrawal process and make sure it's medically supported for the
Mm-hmm.
withdrawals, because um, it's just harder on brains and bodies than we ever used to understand and know.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, this applies to all of the things we self-medicate with as well, because many of us self-medicate for anxiety and depression instead of doing the standard approach.
Yep.
And for that kind of addiction, we also need to be gentle with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a combination of gentleness and a stubborn hold on hope.
Mm. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah,
Yep. That was good. Yes,
yeah,
gentleness and a stubborn hold on hope. I love that.
yeah.
Hey everyone, I just wrapped up another beautiful class with Sarah Payton. I really love Sarah. I love her work. I love her warmth, her compassion, the loving practices that she puts out into the world. I could really feel that during this latest class, and I hope you did too. She talked with us today about bringing warm comfort to the cold roots of our anxiety and depression. And she totally did that. She brought that warmth into this conversation so much. She talked about many things, and one of the things that I thought was just really a big take-home message was this state of alarmed aloneness, right, or alarmed loneliness. She talked about, right, our nervous system doing three things. The three things we typically think of when we're threatened, right, is to fight, flight, or freeze, right? So she also talked about this other state called alarmed loneliness. And this is when we have a difficult time being in a certain scenario. Like, for example, she talked about if we tripped over something and we felt really alone and embarrassed, we would have this alarmed aloneness or something like that. Or we had difficult times being alone with like our thoughts or our emotions or all sorts of different things. So I thought this is a very human, right? Human tendency, human state of being that I'm guessing most everyone watching right now can relate to in some way, shape, or form in their life. So just taking a look at that, where does that show up for you in your life, that alarmed aloneness? A couple of things I wanted to mention were some of the tools that she suggests you use if you're struggling with anxiety and depression are to hold yourself with warmth resonance, right? So hold yourself in this warm resonance. That's a big part of what she does in her work. Just start, like being nice to yourself, holding yourself with warmth, holding yourself with love, being kind and gentle with yourself, not being hard on yourself, talking to yourself in a loving manner. And she talked about how this actually grows your neurons, right? It grows neurons in your brain for you to practice this new way of being with yourself. And another great tip I thought she had was to use your own name when you talk to yourself. So she was doing that throughout this whole class. She kept saying things like, Sarah, do you need a little acknowledgement right now for how you feel about this? Or Sarah, do you need a little acknowledgement here for, oh, I was feeling depressed, or I'm feeling excited about this call, or all those kinds of things. So what would it be like to start using your own name when you talk to yourself? And I totally get it. When she said that, I'm like, wow, right. If we use our own names, it's a much more, to me, like a very personal experience, right? We're actually like building this loving relationship with ourselves. We're cultivating a warm, loving relationship with ourselves, just like we would be doing in a romantic relationship or in a relationship with our children, right? We're using their name or maybe their nickname or whatever in a loving way as we talk to them. So what would it be like if you started to use your name when you talk to yourself, when you're holding yourself in that warm resonance, when you're being gentle and kind with yourself? Last thing I wanted to mention was when she talked about depression specifically, she talked about depression being linked to this blockage of the seeking circuit. So the seeking circuit is this circuit in our brains where we get things done, where we create results, where we check things off our to-do list, where we actually are creating things to be happening in our world. So the big recommendation for her here was, in order to get out of that state of depression, we need to actually be able to see that we can have an effect in the world. And that was really beautiful. Right? I can totally get that, right? We need to be able to see that we have an effect in the world, as in we do this one thing and then we get a result. So whether it's vacuuming your floor and having the actual direct experience of, like I mentioned, dog hair or whatever it is, get sucked up into that vacuum. So you recognize that, wow, Andy, was able to, have an effect in this world, and here is the result that it created. And then she drew this parallel between us not being able to, or thinking we can't have an effect in this world when we're depressed, relating that back to that alarmed loneliness. So I thought that was a very powerful tie. So I would recommend you just kind of sit with that and chew on that for a little while. I thought that was really powerful and a great take-home message if you struggle with depression. So thank you again so much for showing up for yourself and for being here with us in this Avaya University class, and we will see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.
Avaya has changed my life.
Avaya has made me the woman I am today.
Avaya is my home.
Avaya is personal freedom.
Avaya is the reason my life continuously improves.
Let everyone in your life know about Avaya.
Everyone needs to know about this amazing company.
Thank you, Avaya, for appearing in my inbox.
What Ike Allen and Andy Anderson have created at Avaya is what the world needs.